Yo, what's up everybody? It's Victon here with another tips and tricks video on the Skeleton Mage Necromancer. Now, I just released another video talking about the Spectres and Animate Guardian setup for this build, so if you're interested, check that one out as well. And in this video, we're going to be talking about a couple different things, mainly based off of the most frequently asked questions on my stream. I want to be able to kind of link that in the stream when people ask and send you right to this video and give you everything that you need in a short guide. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about in this one are three different things. First off is when to actually transition into the Skeleton Mages version of the build. And then second, we're going to be talking about some of the early gear upgrade paths that you're going to want to take, and also the links for your gems. And lastly, we're going to talk about, because this is very popular, what you need to actually start farming Simulacrums with this build, and kind of the gear progression between, for example, say a wave 20 farmer up to a wave 25 and then a wave 30 farmer. So without further ado, let's kind of just hop right into it. First and foremost is when to transition into mages. Now this is a big question because the gem was much more expensive than it has been in previous leagues. And because of that, a lot of people have been asking kind of what to do as far as when to transition, because they're having to wait longer than normally they would think in order to actually get the jewel to start playing. First and foremost, that is totally fine. If you guys need to wait a little bit longer, you can literally play pretty much any minion build and have a good time, farm up the currency, and then switch to Dead Reckoning and Skeleton Mages whenever you want. I think the easiest transition to do is if you go back to my original League Starter build guide for the Skeleton Mages. In there you'll find the POB for the melee version of Skeletons. That's certainly the easiest transition as far as the tree and the gems, and it's very, very easy to transition straight over to the Dead Reckoning. I personally did when I League started, I started as zombies and carrion golems, just 2 carrion golems, not like the gems or anything like that, or the jewels. And I did that up until probably level 75, at which point I finished doing some heisting stuff, and I made enough currency to purchase the Dead Reckoning Jewel and also some of the other basic items to kind of get going. Another option, I've seen a lot of people do Absolution, and you can absolutely do Absolution. That works pretty well too. I actually had a lot of people say they had kind of enjoyed that process, and it's very similar to the Skeleton Mage playstyle, so you can do that one as well. And again, very similar trees. There's very minimal refund points that you'll actually have to use in order to switch over to this build compared to, for example, say that Absolution build. Now, how much does it cost right now? Let's kind of take a look here. It's actually gone down quite a bit, which is very, very cool. It was up to, almost a little bit over an Exalt on day 2, and probably even yesterday as well, but it's come already down to 35 chaos, which is very affordable for you guys. So I don't think you're gonna have to farm too much. You might get into the early maps or do a little bit of heisting, and you'll have that 35 chaos in no time. Especially, my main tip for you guys is to do the chaos recipe, which is a full set of gear that is unidentified. Give it to the vendor, and out pops 2 chaos orbs. Make sure it's over eye level 60 though, in order to actually make the recipe work. Once you get enough chaos orbs, just go ahead and purchase it and transition over immediately. You can literally do this even if you level up from level 12. Let's say you have the jewel and you're starting a new character. You can actually do it from level 12, which is when you get skeletons. Do it straight away, and it's actually pretty solid. I would do that if I was re-leveling and I had the Dead Reckoning Jewel already. That's absolutely what I would do. So that is how you kind of do that and how you transition over to Dead Reckoning. It's a lot easier now than it was on the first couple of days, and that's kind of what I would suggest for that. And there's no additional items that you need on your build in order to transition over. It is literally just Dead Reckoning. Technically, this is the only item required in the build. Everything else is super, super cheap. You could literally pretty much play the character up until red maps, even tier 16 maps, on just the Dead Reckoning Jewel and like a Tabula Rossa. It's super easy and a fantastic league start in that regards, because it's very cheap to get started, and all kind of upgrade paths for you and gear upgrades are really going to be able to scale well, and you'll be able to really notice differences between gear level and power level and spikes, and that's kind of what we'll talk about next here. So the gear upgrade paths and also the gem links. So let's talk about the gear upgrade paths first. What I would suggest for sure is the first item you purchase in the build is the Dead Reckoning Jewel. Okay, that is the actual main thing that is going to allow you to do this build in the first place, right? So go ahead and get that first. The second thing that you're probably going to want to purchase is a Tabula Rossa. Okay, so the second thing, those are literally like 5, 6, 7 chaos. Very, very cheap this league. So it's basically a free 6 link that all has white sockets, right? So you can put all the gems in there that you want. Very, very good for early leveling. When you're doing, starting out maps, you can have that in there and have a lot of damage up front and just be cruising. There's no reason you guys should not have the 6 link Tabula Rossa. Now, a lot of questions are, when do I switch from the Tabula Rossa to the Flesh Crafter? And the answer is actually a 5 link Flesh Crafter is better than a 6 link Tabula Rossa. It is also better than a 6 link in general, right? So even if you had just like a regular rare item with life and resistances, it is much better to go ahead and switch over to the 5 link Flesh Crafter instead of doing that 6 link. I did the math when I had my character and when I switched over, and for example, I had 800,000 DPS with a 6 link Tabula Rossa, and when I did the 5 link in the Flesh Crafter with the exact same gear, it went up all the way to 1.1 million DPS. So quite a big jump there, just getting that 5 link. And I would have to think that it's not too expensive. Let's go ahead and check here. We're going to go back to the search and we're going to actually type in a 5 link instead. And this is, there you go, guys. It's only about 40 chaos in order to get a 5 link Flesh Crafter. It's kind of hard to say. Get that early on. Definitely get that early on. So Dead Reckoning, and then the Tabula Rossa, farm up a little bit more currency, and then at that point, get the 5 link Flesh Crafter. Now, stepping up to the 6 link is quite a bit of a difference. This is all the way up to 8 exalts, and that's because fusings are so few and far between this league. And I actually have a very sad story for you guys. I'm going to show you right here. This guy, this poor little 30% quality Necromancer Silks Flesh Crafter has eaten up 4,500 fusings, and it has not 6 linked. Feels freaking bad, dudes. I was so upset when I think I was at 4,200 fusings, and I bought a whole nother 6 socket Flesh Crafter, and I got this one in under 200 fusings. So I think this guy is cursed, but I'm still going at it. I'm gonna get it because I'm mad at it. But anyway, so you don't do that for a while. So if you're not going to do that for a while, you're going to stay on your 5 link Flesh Crafter for probably a good little bit here. After that, I would say start upgrading the rest of your gear. You can go ahead and get a +1 to all spell skill gems wand, and that is probably pretty cheap. Let's just look at that. So let's do this and search. 50 chaos for that, or watch this. You could do that without this, and we're going to do empty suffix. And this is, by the way, in my trade links that I have already for you guys. But I'm just kind of showing you here on the video about what you would want to get. Empty socket, empty that. So there you go, 25C for a very good wand, and you buy it without the craft, and you could go ahead and craft that on if you already have that craft yourself, or it's a little bit more advanced, but you could go to the TFT, the Forbidden Trove Discord, and you could pay somebody literally like 3 chaos to put that on your item. So overall, you're looking at under 30 chaos for a pretty solid wand as your starter wand. Very good. So once you have that, at that point, and you have kind of the rest of your gear, like the baseline of your gear, like, get your resistance cap, maybe have like 50-60% chaos res. You don't have to have full, but at that point you would want to then get a helmet. Now the helmet that you're going to want to look for is, luckily for us, it does not have to be a first off, it doesn't have to be a bone helmet, and second off, it does not have to be an elder helmet anymore. Those are actually pretty expensive to get a elder bone helmet. I would suggest you guys just get a regular bone helmet, and that we're doing that because of that 20% increased damage for our minions. So get a regular bone helmet and try and get +2 to level of socket and minion gems, as well as, some life, some resistances, and unlike the helmet I have here, I'm being lazy and I haven't crafted this appropriately yet. The 2 most important things you need to get here is the +2 to level socket and minion gems, and have an open prefix so you can craft on there the +1 to maximum +1 to maximum skeleton and zombie. That is a prefix craft that you can do on the bench. And again, if you don't have that craft, go onto the TFT Discord and pay somebody literally 3 chaos in order to do that for you. Super easy peasy, and that is how you do that. So just think about this. I currently have, where is it? I'm gonna summon all my dudes. I currently have 11. You guys might have 10 because I have pretty high level. Where is it? I have pretty high level summon skeletons is level 25. So you guys might have 10. I think, but either way, 10 or 11, right? Getting the +1 on your helmet is effectively a 10% more damage multiplier. That is very, very solid. So pretty solid on that, and I would do that as your next upgrade. And then once you have your helmet, at that point you can go ahead and start working, in my opinion, on your wand, which is going to look something like this. The most important two things that you're going to do is the +1 to level of all spell skill gems, the +1 level to all minion skill gems, and then ideally you would want an open suffix to then craft on there the trigger socketed spells. Now I'm going to actually do an updated guide for this, so if you're interested in that, it's going to be linked in the description below here, hopefully pretty soon. And that will show you guys exactly how to craft this wand. But just note that this wand, this is kind of when you step up into it costing a lot more. So far, everything has been probably under 1.5 exalts in currency spent, right? The Dead Reckoning Jewel being 35, the Flesh Crafter 5 link being about 40, and then kind of just upgrading your gear, probably taking about 40 or 50, and then rolling your helmet, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, you can do with bound fossils in order to try and target that level of socketed minion gems. And if you really want to try and go for the +3 to level of minion gems, just make sure that you actually need an eye level 86 helmet. You cannot get it unless you have an 86 helmet, which is why a +2 to level socketed minion gems is totally fine. So up until then, you're looking at under an X.5 of spent currency. And then from there, it's going to step up a little bit. And from there, you're going to go ahead and, like I said, get this wand. And this wand is going to, if you self-craft it, at least 5 exalts in mats. Basically, it's going to cost you probably from 5 to 8 exalts, if you, depending on like kind of how lucky you get, to actually craft this. Or you could just buy it, which is actually typically an option because people usually craft a lot of these to try and hit good rolls. So they sell the ones they don't actually use. So here we go. Let's search for this. So you could technically just buy this wand straight up for like 6.5 exalts. Or you could craft it yourself and either spend like 5 exalts or 8 exalts, right? Or even 10 exalts if you're really unlucky. That's just something to consider. You might want to go ahead and just purchase it straight up to potentially save you some extra currency. Okay, so that is that one. And then after you get that, the most impactful upgrade from there is, let's think here. There's a couple different things that you can consider. It depends on the content that you're going to do. If you really want to do simulacrums, it actually probably would be good to go ahead and purchase a breath stealer because these are incredible for simulacrums. This is a little pricey though, guys. This is more pricey than it has been. And it's 5 exalts right now. And I'm pretty sure that's because blight stuff is broken right now. Like you can't go into blight maps. So I'm thinking that's why these are really expensive. So wait until, if you really want to, you could wait until they fix the blights, and these are going to go down in price by quite a bit. But the reason these are so good is because it creates a blighted spore pod when you or your minions kill, and basically those are like little mini headhunter buffs that can do a ton of things. It could give you like a 4,000 energy shield as well as your minions, or it could give your minions a haste buff to make them really fast and do a lot of damage. So lots of cool things on there, and we also get an extra anoint, in which case on the starter anoint here is Indomitable Army to give them a little bit extra tankiness, which is pretty solid. So that's what I would do next if you want to do simulacrums. If you don't really care, you just kind of want to do mapping and bossing, then I would say focus on the 6-link Flesh Crafter. And then after that, you might want to do the Breath Stealer. And if you're just doing bossing, I actually would not recommend Breath Stealers. I would recommend regular gloves that have an open prefix so you can craft on their 20% increased minion damage. And you can actually use the new currency. I'm not exactly sure which currency, which one of the two it is, but you can use the new currency to get an implicit for another. I think it's like 30 to 40% increased minion damage on there as well. So that's if you're just doing bossing, I would suggest that. And that's pretty much it. You know, from there, you're just going to upgrade the rest of your gear to make it really, really good. And then at that point, you're getting into the min-maxing, and I want to do a separate video for that. I'm not going to put that in his one. Now, I did forget, I guess, technically the Alrund's Warpath, but these are like literally 1 chaos, basically. Okay, they're 3 chaos. So obviously get those very, very early on. It's pretty solid to get that +1 to maximum number of skeletons. Again, that's about a 10% more multiplier. So very, very good. And as far as your cluster jewels, kind of when do you want to purchase your cluster jewels? I typically tell people to go ahead and start working on your cluster jewels around level 83 to 85. At that point, you're going to run out of points on your tree, and you will need somewhere to put your points, so you need to start having at least the currency to kind of get these going around level 85. Now, to get a jewel here, let's kind of see what the price is. Now, you can get, remember, you can get a 9 socket or a 9 passive one. You don't have to get an 8 one, and it's a little bit cheaper. Now, there you go. We're going to go ahead and search for this. So they're super cheap. They're probably going to be about 15 chaos is what you're probably going to be paying for it. If you get the cheaper one, yeah, you're going to pay about somewhere between 10 and 15 chaos. You're going to roll it yourself. I actually have a pretty poopy one. I just got called to the slaughter You could get, technically, you could want Call to the Slaughter, Renewal, and then Feasting Fiends. Like, that's your top combo in that order of importance as well. For your medium cluster jewel, however, this one is very important, and I would put this one up pretty high on the list of items that you want to purchase in your purchase order. So let's kind of think about it here. So let's take a look at the price here. And again, you can get a 4 or 5 for the number of passives. Let's search. You do need an item level 67 plus. Okay, that's very important to note. You need an item level 67 plus in order to roll Blessed Rebirth. Okay, so these are going to be pretty kind of all over the place. I would say probably around 40 chaos is what you're going to pay for this one, and I would definitely suggest you guys roll it yourself instead of just purchasing a Blessed Rebirth straight up, because these are going to be a little bit more, right? So you're going to pay another 10-15 chaos if you just purchase it straight up. So let's see at what point, and the reason, by the way, that we're doing Blessed Rebirth is it's a massive quality of life change, because the minions created recently cannot be damaged. So basically they're immune for 4 seconds when you summon them, which especially in boss fights is incredibly important, so that they're going to get out some damage before they potentially die. And then you can just resummon them, of course, right? So where would you get that? Like I said, it's about 40 chaos. I would probably say after your 5-link Fleshcraft. I would say after your 5-link Fleshcrafter, go ahead and purchase that medium. And then when you're upgrading kind of just all of your gear at that point, you can do this large. Because remember that you can put this medium in here first and just have your medium here for a while. And then once you get a little bit more currency, then you can kind of do the large one and then the medium. Okay, very good. So that is the gear upgrade pass for kind of like early and mid of the league. Now, the last topic I wanted to cover here is what you need to kind of start farming simulacrums. There's definitely tiers of simulacrum farmers out there. There's basically, I kind of call it like in 3 different tiers, right? There's the starter builds, which can do kind of up to wave 20. You kind of maybe struggle at wave 18, 19, and 20. And that is, I would say it's profitable as a character, but it's not crazy profitable. I would do it if it's fun to you, like I did it because it was really fun, and I did make some currency for sure, but it's not incredibly profitable. It's once you start getting up into the wave 25 plus range that I would say you're kind of a medium simulacrum farmer. And at that point, yes, you are making currency for sure, around level 25 if you can do those. But what do you need as far as like what's the jump between a level 20 farmer and a level 25 farmer? So I actually did level 25 farming for, I think I probably did about 20 of them. And I did it with my base gear. So literally the gear that you see in the path of building for the League starter version of this character is literally the exact same gear that I had, and I was doing wave 20 pretty comfortably. But I will mention though, that wave 20 was pretty tough for me. And sometimes it wasn't even profitable for me to do it because of how tough it was. It was more profitable for me to do like a wave 18 or wave 19 and then just stop and do another one. So that's something kind of to note there. The gear step that I took in order to get to start doing those pretty comfortable wave 25s was I purchased a level 21 summon skeletons, which if we check here is probably about 100 chaos. So that's kind of something to consider. And I also had my 6-link at that point, and then I got the wand and the gloves. So, I mean, you're talking about at least 15 exalts spent, probably a little bit more, 18, 19 exalts spent in the character to get up to wave 25. So just kind of note that. And obviously, in between there, you're going to be able to do, a couple more waves here and there if you've kind of just got 1 or 2 other things instead of kind of like that whole package right here. Now, what do you need in order to get up to the wave 30 simulacrums? You need a lot more gear. You're probably going to be spending at around, 40 to 50 exalts. Like, you're going to have our in-game shield, which is going to allow us to be able to also have on their aspect of the spider for a lot more damage. We're going to have a jewel socket over here that's giving us like 160% increased minion damage. We're probably going to have a better wand that also has on their zealotry buff effect. So just stuff like that is a lot more damage. Also getting a Fleshcrafter with either +1 to levels is the implicit, or +2 to socketed duration gems is the implicit. That type of stuff is going to push you up where you can actually like super smooth do wave 30. And last league when I was doing this, I was doing wave 30 runs, and even up to like wave 28, I was getting 5 to 6 stacks pretty consistently. And then it's that wave, 28, 29, 30, where you're getting like 4 stacks and then maybe 5 stacks. But very consistently, very fast, and literally never dying. So that's kind of the the budget levels, I guess, for simulacrum farming, and certainly once you get to that level 25 plus simulacrum farming, you're making a lot of currency, and you can start really affording the rest of your gear very fast, so kind of something to consider there. But yeah, guys, that's all I had for this guide. I hope a lot of those tips kind of helped you understand where you are in the kind of state of your build and kind of where you might like to go with your build, and maybe also some content that you'd like to do as well. So that's all I got for this one. I will catch you guys in the next one.